Hi and welcome back to Rideshare Buddy UK YouTube channel. My name's Kevin and today I'm probably going to upset some people, but I'm going to explain to you what I think is a good wage, a good income for Uber drivers in the UK. Some of you will not appreciate it, but you got to understand the UK is a high expense, low wage economy. You're not going to make vast amounts of money being an Uber driver. You certainly won't be able to afford to buy a house or anything like that. Not today anyway. Those days are long since gone. But I'm going to try and justify why I think £15 an hour after all expenses is a pretty good income for an Uber X driver. Not an Uber XL, you'd want more than that, and I'll go through all the details later. Or an Uber Exec, you'd certainly want a lot more than £15 an hour if you laid out £50,000 on a car. But for general run-of-the-mill Uber X driver, I think £15 an hour is pretty good. And I'm going to go through that a little bit closer and in a little bit more detail. But let's put this into some context first. You know, what is the average hourly rate in the UK for an employee? Now, the ONS, Government Statistics Department, has released the details on this not so long ago for 2023. So this is it. It's all official. This is what the ONS has said. For all workers, the median wage is the point at which 50% of people in the country earn less and 50% of people in the country earn more. So the median wage is £17.48 per hour. That's for all workers. That includes high pay workers in finance and education and nursing, and also the lowest paid on minimum wage. So averages out the median, the middle point, where 50% of people in the UK earn less than £17.48, and 50% of workers in the UK earn more than £17.48. But we can actually drill down that a little bit more to make it a little bit more relevant to us as taxi drivers. So let's go down to that. Demographics, sectors. So average full-time hourly wage in the UK by sector. Let's go on that. And what we're looking at is transport. Transportation and storage. If you can see that, the median pay, where 50% of people in transport earn less than £15.93, and 50% of people earn more than £15.93. So if you're claiming after expenses more than £15.93, you are in the top 50% of earners in transport. A lot of people in transport will earn more than that, you know, HGV drivers, hazardous good drivers and stuff like that. A lot of people will earn less, like employed drivers doing, say, school minibus driving, if they're employed rather than self-employed. When I worked for Sainsbury's, I earned £12 an hour. It's either £12 or £12.50 an hour driving home deliveries. But the 50% mark, that mid-mark, is £15.98. Now, I think £15 an hour is good for a taxi driver because there's no special skills required, really. We'll go into the full details as to what I think you need to justify and why I think £15 an hour is good after expenses. Now, on average, I make about £15 an hour. I work between 25 and 30 hours a week at the moment because it's winter. when the summer comes along, I'll be cutting that right back because I'll be going out for the days out with the missus, and I'll be going out to enjoy the sunshine and stuff like that. So at the moment, I work between 25 and 30 hours a week, 5 days, sometimes 4 days. And after I've taken off the car expense, taken off the fuel, and taken off 11% for holiday contribution, I make between £14 and £15.50 per hour, spread out over a week. It comes in around maybe just under £15 an hour. So that's not too bad. But that's because I only do Uber X. Now, if I did Uber XL, because of the additional running costs involved and the additional risks involved in running an XL vehicle, I would want to clear, after all expenses and after my holiday pay subtraction, I would want to be making at least £17.50 an hour, maybe £18 an hour, because of that additional cost. If I was an Uber exec driver and I've had to pay out £40,000-50,000 for a car and the additional insurance and additional running costs, after all my expenses and after subtracting a little bit of contribution for holiday pay, I would be looking at clearing that to very minimum £20 an hour, and I would be looking for around £22-23 an hour to justify the expense of laying out that sort of money on a car. So that's what I think for an Uber driver at the moment. Now, come April, national minimum wage is going to increase by over 10%. It's going to increase to £11.44 an hour. Now, I want to keep I want to make sure I keep my difference between minimum wage, because I'm not going to work for minimum wage. I want to make sure I keep up with minimum wage rises. So from April, I think a good hourly rate for a driver of Uber X, not XL or exec. Now, when I say exec, when I say Uber X, I also mean Uber Comfort, because here in Wales, we don't have Uber Comfort. We just have Uber X, Uber XL, and Uber Exec. We don't even have Uber Green. We don't have Uber Pet or anything like that. We just have the three. So when I'm talking Uber X, I'm talking X and Comfort sort of style, where you can run a normal basic car without having to go up to that exec level car. So I'm going to be looking at increasing mine by at least £1 an hour in April. So I'm going to want to be clearing, after all expenses, £16 an hour. And that's after taking into account holiday pay. I want £16 an hour. Now, I don't think I can do that on Uber. It's too tough. It's hard hitting that £15, but it can be done. On a Friday and Saturday, I'm hitting well over £15. But on a day like Wednesday today, I'll be looking to hit £12 an hour, or even £11 an hour. So from April, I'm looking at £16 an hour. If Uber doesn't increase their rates to drivers, it's not going to be possible to do it on Uber, which is why I'm also now looking at things like OTS and other rideshare, and really boosting up the advertising on my own business on Facebook. Because doing it myself, it's going to be the way I'm going to hit out £16 an hour. But that's it. I think a lot of Uber drivers are expecting too much for what they do. I don't know. So, say in the comments below, are Uber drivers expecting too much for what they do? I think £15 an hour is a decent pay for what you do, which is basically just driving a car around. You're well over minimum wage, so you're offsetting all that risks that you get of being self-employed. You lose a lot of benefits that you get as an employee when you're self-employed. It's not just holiday pay and sick pay. It's paternity pay, maternity pay. It's sick pay on Uber. You've got to be sick for 7 days and have a doctor's note before they'll even consider giving you any money. Whereas if you're an employee, you just pick up the phone saying, I'm having a duvet day today, I'm not coming in, and you still get paid. And you get statutory sick pay after 3 days. So it's a lot easier to get sick pay than with Uber. So that all needs to be offset. You've got paternity pay, maternity pay, all needs to be offset. If your business goes bust and you're an employee, you get redundancy pay and extra help in getting you into a new job. If you're self-employed, you're running your own car, you can't make ends meet, you get no redundancy. Nobody's going to hand you a fat check when you close up your business. So all those risks need to be taken into account. And I think, if I was employed, an employee just driving a car around, I wouldn't get much more than minimum wage. So to get £15 an hour, after all expenses and the like, I think it's a good wage for car driving. Am I being pessimistic? Am I undervaluing myself? Am I undervaluing my earnings and my worth? Don't know. Let me know in the comments. Tell me. Should I be expecting more than that for just driving a car around? As I say, if you're an Excel driver, you need to be making a little bit more than that for the extra costs and extra maintenance, extra insurance. You need to be looking at getting a little bit more back on your investment. And of course, you've got a little bit of extra risk because you're carrying more passengers. So you should be earning more money. Same with exec. If you laid out 50 grand on a car, you need to get a return on that investment. So again, you should be making substantially more money as an exec driver than as a Uber XL. But if you're an exec driver and you're only doing Uber XL jobs or X jobs because there's no exec work, you can't expect normal passengers to pick up the bill. You should get rid of your car but get a normal economical car and run just Uber X. That's why I've got this car. Economical, cheap. It's what you need for Uber X to give you your profit. So that's it. That's what I think. I know there's at the moment there's supposed to be a strike on the 14th of February. I shall be partaking of it. I'm not over concerned about the money I'm earning. I knew when I started doing Uber I was not going to be able to buy a house. You have to be in a really well paid job to buy a house. Last time private hire drivers could afford to buy a house was back in the 80s. Ever since then, their wages have slid back and back. It's just the way things are. So I know the strike is calling for all sort of ridiculous things like big increase in fares, time and a half for going out of area, all sorts of stuff. It's not going to happen. That's the way it is. Those things operated back in the 80s. That's what happened in the 80s. And you had a good living. It's not going to happen now. There's too many people. Too easy option. They're coming into the country with no skills and them doing taxi driving because it's a no skill task, no skill job. So there's always people who are going to undercut you. So you have to accept that. Today, £15 an hour is a pretty decent return for what is a piss easy job. I do 30 hours. If I do a 30-hour week, I'll clear £450. Not great, but there again, not bad. In the summer, when I want the flexibility just to go off for a day whenever I want to, I'm not going to be doing as much, but I'm still going to be earning I'll be earning £16 an hour by then. You're putting your strategies in place to earn that sort of money. And that sort of money can still be earned on Uber if you're looking for 15. If you want 30, 40, £50 an hour, find another job. This is not the job for you. But that's it. I'd like to hear your thoughts. What do you think is a decent sort of hourly rate after all expenses for an Uber driver? Or any private hire driver, really. Even doing airport transfers, £15 an hour, it's not too bad after expenses. Yeah, so what do you reckon? This is it for me. Uber X, you should be paid £15 an hour, and you can do £15 an hour on Uber for that after all expenses. XL, you should be doing at least £17.50 an hour clearing it, and from what I hear, that is perfectly possible. Uber Exec, you've got to be clearing a minimum of £20. You really should be hitting £22-23 an hour at least to justify that sort of expense. So I don't think you can do that in Cardiff. We don't have that high-end market in Cardiff, so I would never go exec, because you're going to be running around in a £50,000 car doing £4-5 jobs for Uber X. So I'd stay away from Uber Exec in this area. It's not, the trade isn't there to justify the expense. I don't know what it's like in London. Probably worth it in London. Maybe worth it in Manchester. Definitely not in Cardiff. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the video. I'd like to hear your thoughts. You know, what do you think is a good hourly wage for a car driver or an Uber driver or any driver in the private hire industry? So that's it. Thanks for watching. Happy driving. Take care of yourself, and make sure you earn that money.